Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we have an interesting show for you. If you caught the last show, I had the Athletics' Eric Stevens on, and we talked about the state of Anaheim and everything that was going on right after the 12-game losing streak, and, of course, the Cogliano trade, and that's what we're going to do on this show. We're going to talk about those trades and the things that have happened. We're going to do a little bit different this time. We're not really going to recap so much of the games. Obviously, the Ducks have lost 14 of their last 16. There's really no point in going over those. So we're going to dive into the trades. We're going to dive into the roster moves, all the injury news, and league news as well. So let's pick this up. Eddie, the Ducks, they lost, game 11, I guess you could say, of that 12. And you had Bob Murray's comments. And then the Ducks made the trade right after that of Andrew Cogliano for Devin Shore. What's your initial thought of that first trade? Everybody went pretty nuts, pretty emotional, obviously. They wanted the Iron Man to stay in town, a fan favorite, pretty much a league favorite as well. What was your initial thoughts of this trade as the Ducks had gone through their losing streak and trying to turn things around, or at least Murray's way of trying to turn things around?
My first reaction was Chris Wagner. That Wagner trade that everyone was confused about last season, that was the first thing that popped in my mind. And the second thing was, taking back something you bought from the store just to get your money back after it was used. Like, you were trading a fan favorite that everyone loved, and that, obviously, yeah, his points weren't where they should be, and he was underperforming, but every shift he was out there, and if you watch him at practice, he'd still give 110%. Like, he played with so much heart, and just to trade him away for a player that, had a little bit more points than him, about 6 more points, but it's pretty much the same player but younger. As far as Bob Murray's thinking, he's just saving some, a little bit of cap space on that. It's just confusing. It was just frustrating. It seemed like he just made a trade just to make a trade because everyone was harping down his throat, and for him to use that trade as a scapegoat just to, like, hey, you know what? We don't need to fire the coach. I'm not going to fire the coach, but let's make a trade. I'm trying to do something for the team. And no, you didn't, because that didn't make the team better. And I think it made the team a little bit worse, because watching the first game, a few games that Shore played, and I didn't even notice him, to be honest. He just, I know Dallas, their fans were upset, all mad, and they really loved him. And, I haven't met him yet or really, seen him that much, like, in person, but I mean, it doesn't really make a difference if he's in the lineup or not. It's not going to help the Ducks win a game. And I think it was just a trade just to kind of like shut the fans up, but it ended up kind of backfiring on him. And I'm totally confused. It's just like I'm still confused about that Wagner trade, and I really still want answers from that. I know I'm still living in the past, but oh well, man. Back to the Future is my favorite movie for a reason, I guess.
Yeah, this that loss, like we said, at that point in time was number 11 of 12. And Murray's comments after that were, quote, "At this time, I'm not considering a coaching change. I'm more focused on our players, specifically with who is going to step up in this situation. The way we played tonight and was a step in the right direction, but we need much more. We have higher expectations for this group, and they should expect more from themselves," end quote. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting that he follows that up with this trade. Like we talked about, a lot of people emotional about this. They're not happy. And Cogliano, the Iron Man, we're still keeping the streak. I was even going to make some T-shirts when he broke the streak in Anaheim, which obviously now it's not going to happen because he's not with the Ducks anymore. But I get some of this trade from an organizational standpoint. I wrote about in the article. You touched on it a little bit. Devin Shore is a similar type player to Andrew Cogliano. He is younger. His cap space is less. He's also a restricted free agent, which means Murray has more control over his future. So I get he got a guy that's a little bit younger and similar, but like you said, I mean, at least in what we've seen, I haven't seen a whole lot. I mean, he's played in 5 games with the Ducks and he's got 1 assist. And Cogliano's played in 3 games with Dallas and no points. So it's not much of a change. I mean, now that you start seeing him being thrown out there with Getzlaf, like you said, I haven't really been impressed that much with this move. I mean, he did make a move to shake things up, and obviously it didn't really work because the Ducks lost game number 12 to Detroit, which was on my birthday, which that was not fun. Though I did get to talk to Eric Stevens, which that made up for part of it. And if you haven't, you can listen to that last podcast. He actually talked to me on the phone from the press box in Detroit. So that was awesome of him because he's super busy. But I'm with you.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. By the way, happy birthday, Mike. Both of us had birthdays this month. And
that's right.
That's kind of ironic, So, happy birthday to you.
I know. Team Capricorn in the house.
Exactly.
Whoop, whoop. So, whoop, I know. So at least we got our birthdays this month. I mean, maybe that was the only real good thing. But, yeah, so – he got someone that's a little bit younger and saved a little bit of money and had a little bit more control. So I get it in the organizational standpoint, but, I don't see it doing too much. And then, unfortunately, with this, trade happened, the Ducks then lost in Detroit. Then Silfverberg and Kessler got hurt in that game, and then now they're out. We have more updates on that. There's a lot of other updates that just came out as the Ducks head into the All-Star break. But after that game, Eddie, you thought one trade was enough? No, the Ducks then go crazy and they do 3 more trades late night after all this. With the 12-game losing streak trying to turn things around. They do end up winning the next 2 after that, but we can kind of break down these trades. Honestly, I'm not a fan of really any of them other than bringing back the elite center, Derek Grant. I am happy about that. That's probably the only one that I liked out of these 3 trades, but I guess we'll start with the Pontus Aberg one. Eddie, I don't get this one at all. I mean, he played in 37 games with the Ducks, 19 points, 11 goals, 8 assists, was the leading scorer in goals on the Ducks for, majority of the season. And then you boot him out and you get a guy, Klus, that's only played 1 NHL game up to this point. He had 30 points with the Iowa Wild. I get that, but and they're about the same age. But I mean, you had a guy that was gelling with the team and doing well. And I just, I don't know. I don't get why you bring Klus in, and this trade didn't make sense to me at all, Eddie. I don't know. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I saw it happening with all of him being scratched. Obviously, there was something going on that we didn't see or we don't know about between the coach and his style. I have no idea what's going on. I was reading some fan chats from Edmonton and Nashville, and a few of the fans said that he had some disciplinary issues for being lazy and showing up to practice and just not giving it all at practice. So I don't know if that's true or not. I have no idea. I just read it from different people, online posting about it. I actually haven't watched him practice personally, so I can't really comment on that. But obviously there was something going on if he was scratched, all those games, especially how well he gelled and the points and numbers he was putting up. And to make this trade even kind of solidifies that there was something going on that didn't allow him to move forward with the team, because this, if not, it's just one of those trades again that doesn't make sense. I have no clue. I mean, we have a younger guy that has potential, that is proving himself in the minor league, but it just seems like we traded a player that can help us put points on the board, and just to get a guy that can help San Diego put some points on the board. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think some of that you're talking about is what Eric and I talked about in the last podcast. Basically, Carlisle wasn't happy with Aberg's work ethic as far as back checking and playing defense and the two-way game and whatnot like that. So there's part of that. Also part of it they were saying is, he was scoring goals, but then he started shifting. He wasn't going inside as much. He was taking the outside lanes when he was attacking and playing more of a perimeter game. So those are some of the things. But even when I talked to Eric, we were talking about him being, benched for all those games. And Eric and I both agreed that it was too long. And I know you agree too. So we were ready to see him, get back into action. And then, of course, he gets traded. So I'm like, all right. And then, this guy, I just don't get it. Klus isn't someone that's, I think, going to be with the team that much. I think he's going to be in San Diego more so than anything. And you got a guy like we talked about, had one NHL game experience, and then like we said, played in the AHL before. So I mean, they're the same age, but it just didn't make sense to me. I think Aberg was giving you offense. Yeah, he wasn't playing a complete game. You benched him for a little bit. You sent the message. I would have given him another chance, but I guess Eddie, Carlisle, Murray, maybe we're just tired of whatever. Maybe something happened in the locker room there, but it just seemed like they were ready just to move on.
On Instagram, one of the fans was using like explicitives, on his personal page, like, hey, F that team, they really screwed you over, F, Murray, and he goes and likes it. So it's like, okay, well, he liked that comment, so obviously, and then he goes and says that he wants to prove Anaheim wrong. So there's something going on. I think a little bit more that we don't know about between the team and him. But regardless, I liked him when he was in Anaheim, and I wish him the best of luck, especially how young he is and how many times he's been bounced around. I just hope he finds a permanent home. Like, maybe not with the Wild, because I can't stand the Wild at all. I hope he just gets gone one more and finds a permanent home. But no, I'm just kidding, though. Like regardless, I wish him all the best. And, if it didn't work out here, I hope it works out wherever he goes, especially being that young and him having to bounce around that much. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there has to be something going on. You bench him that long and then you trade him and don't even let him come back. So obviously there's some kind of, ill will or ill feelings going on. So that was one trade that they engaged in, after the 12th loss. And then they went and they sent Shin and a 2020 7th round pick to Vancouver for Michael Del Zotto. This one, I really is like, meh, I didn't really care. I mean, we saw Shen's ability on defense. I had some other fans from Tampa Bay telling me to watch out. You're not going to be happy. And I think we can agree we weren't happy because obviously he wasn't, playing very solid defense, letting people skate around him multiple times. We saw that in some of the games. But the Ducks ended up trading him. And they traded a draft pick. I mean, it's a 7th round. It's not a high draft pick. And they get Del Zotto. And then also Vancouver retained 25% of his salary. I do like that. It helps out with the cap thing. But I don't know. This trade, I was just like, yeah, whatever. I just don't see a whole lot of it. I mean, yeah, Del Zotto got his papers cleared and he was able to play in the Ducks last game, which obviously that didn't matter because we saw what happened against St. Louis. But what did you think about this trade, Eddie?
I mean, I'd rather watch one of the old school episodes of MASH, I guess, just to read about this trade. Del Zotto had a great season with his rookie year with, I think, the Rangers at 37 points. And he just went downhill from there. He went the opposite way instead of just, solidifying a role with the team. And he spent most of his time in the press box when he was at Vancouver. I mean, losing Shin for Del Zotto, I wouldn't have been that upset. Okay, cool. 2 players that really are kind of irrelevant at this point in their career with each of the teams they were with. Take a chance, a different scenery. Maybe it could spark something, on our end. But then throwing that 7th round too, that kind of just bothers me a little bit. Yeah, it's only a 7th round, but who knows who can pick in the 7th round. I think 7th round is basically just that 25% salary thing, but this is one of those trades that you didn't need to make. Like, you didn't have to give up that 7th round. You didn't have to take this player, Del Zotto, and get Vancouver to take 25% salary. There's no reason for it. And once again, I don't know if there's been a few times, Mike, I got home. There's one time, I'm going to tell you a story real quick. I got home and I was inebriated. I barely got home in the Uber, and I thought it was a good idea to come home and bring the bottle upstairs with a shot glass and a beer and drink more. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I want to play. At that time, it was NHL 17. I want to play NHL 17. Well, the next morning I wake up. I decided to play the game again, see what I did. I had McKinnon. I had Tarasenko. I had Brett Burns all in the Ducks, and I had no idea what I did. And I don't know if Murray had some wine that was just bad or he mixed it with some Jack or something, making all these trades. And I was so glad you were home that day because usually, when a trade happens and if you're not home or someone else is busy, I'll try to jump on it and write about it real quick to get it out there. But that night, it was like, man, I took my sleeping pill, ready to go to sleep, and boom, another trade. And we still have one more to talk about. And it just, that once again, that trade does not make sense. This is the 3rd trade in a row. It doesn't make sense. Maybe the second one, maybe a little bit because there's some, some crap going on that we didn't see. But then this again, it was unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, looking over all these trades so far, Cogliano, Shin, and then obviously, the Auberg one too, which is probably more stuff going on. I looked at all three of these and I was like, okay, you're really going to help the team right now. And then came in the elite center, Derek Grant came back, and Blandisi got shipped out. I was like, okay, I actually like this trade out of all of them. Blandisi was playing in San Diego. He only played 3 games with the Ducks in Anaheim, had no points while in the NHL this season. And then, Grant had played on the Ducks before. He had played in 66 games. He had 24 points, 12 goals, and 12 assists. And he had a couple goals and 3 assists in 25 games with Pittsburgh this year. So I was happy about that. I'm happy that they brought in Grant. He's played in some of these games already. He's already got a goal with the Ducks in the 4 games that he's played. So I'm happy, but I also know that, okay, you went and got another center and Kessler's out for an unknown amount of time. So that part's scary, but you did bring this guy back in. He had good chemistry with the team, and I like what I've seen with him so far. So, if I was to rate all these trades, and I'll let you weigh in on the Grant one too, but I would be, 1 for 4 basically, and approval rating of these trades. I like 1 out of 4 of them so far, Eddie. But what did you think about the Grant trade as well as all of them?
Oh, I love it. Grant's awesome. Grant is a great player. He gelled right. I think he's like the first player in NHL history to score his first 2 goals and have them reversed. I remember that. I think he was Buffalo. He scored and they got it pulled. He came with the Ducks, still trying to get his first goal. He scores and then it gets reversed, and then he finally scores again, and that's his first goal. And he scores another one. So that was really cool, and he really gelled with the team. Blandisi, I liked him a lot too, and I don't think that we saw enough of him in Anaheim, and we didn't really give him a chance. I'm not sure how he did in San Diego. I don't really follow or watch a lot of games. I know I'm a bad fan for the AHL. But you know what? This was one of the trades. Was like, okay, cool. I mean, this is a good one. We got Grant back. We could have re-signed him, and we could have kept him. And I don't know. I'm not going to go into that. But you guys know about that. We could have kept Grant, but it's good to see Grant back with the team, and hopefully he can stick with the team and he can help us. And he just, for some reason, I don't know why, he just plays a lot better hockey than with the Ducks, and he's not with the Ducks. And it just, I think this is the best trade. I'll use that word as far as the Anaheim Ducks trade is blockbuster trade for us, because that was like everyone was happy, and I don't think a lot of fans were that upset. Besides the fact that we could have re-signed him, but yeah, I agree. This is like my favorite trade, and this is the trade that made the most sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've seen now, he's been, they brought up Jones and Terry as well. Terry got his first NHL goal too. The Ducks actually won their next 2 games after all these trades. They beat the team that you love to hate, Minnesota, and then they held on.
I was happy.
I know you were. And then they held on and beat New Jersey. And, you had Grant's playing with Jones and Terry right now. So that's kind of a good line going on. And we have some fan questions about the lineups and, of course, the coaching and all that. We'll get into it. But, I like having him in there because now you got Kessler out. So you've got Getzlaf, Henrique, Grant, and Rowney on the 4th line. So, I like what I'm seeing so far. And, I like the 2 wins. And obviously, of course, we have the watch party. And which, thank you for everybody that coming out. It was a packed house again. But the Ducks lost that one to the Islanders, and then they also lost to the Blues, basically in the same way, in my opinion. The forecheck of each of those teams killed the Ducks, and they went back to losing again. So now the Ducks are going into the All-Star break, and they're a 500 team. They're 21-21-9, which is maybe a surprise to some. They're still hanging on there, battling it out for the wild card. Outside looking in, but on the edge there. So, a lot of stuff going on here. And, the way that they kick it off, a whole lot of things happened after this St. Louis game. Eddie, I'll kind of go through some of the roster moves, and then we could talk about some of the injury news. We can go into a lot of the fan questions too. But some things that happened, we heard that Holzer was called back up to the lineup. Looks like he's going to be ready to go in February. Dotson was also brought back up. And then you've got the All-Star games coming up for the AHL and the NHL. So a lot of players got sent back down. You had Carrick, Jones, Larson, Terry, Walensky, and Suster also sent down. He cleared waivers. So you had all those guys sent down. So nothing to panic about. I saw some people were kind of freaking out at some of the posts on social media, like, why are all these people getting moved and what's going on? A lot of it's just because of the break, and the Gulls do have a couple games coming up, so they want these guys to play. So a lot of that, a lot of movement going on here as the All-Star break, goes into full effect here for about a week and a half. But I think the biggest news, Eddie, is all the injury stuff. And going into this break, there's a whole lot of it. And I think the one positive thing is we knew Silfverberg went out. He was on the IR after that loss to Detroit when he got knocked around. But they have activated him off the IR as of the 24th of January. So he is going to be back in February. We also know that Eves has been playing with the Gulls, and he's supposed to play a couple more games, and he is supposed to be back in February. And additionally, Miller is supposed to be back sometime in February. So a lot of good news there. I think the other part that you could add to that is Corey Perry. He's been skating for over a week, and he was at the team's practice on the 22nd. So at least there's some positive news there, Eddie. We've got, the potential of 4 guys to return. They're talking about in the beginning of February, hopefully sometime on that road trip. So that's a good sign at least.
Oh, yeah. I'm really looking forward to see what Perry brings back, especially a healthy Perry. He's been out, and, we all love to hate him right now, especially this contract and how he was underperforming. But, I mean, he brings that physicality, that old school mentality, the hard hitting, getting in front of the goalie's face, getting those dirty areas. And I think this team extremely needs that. And I mean, it might take a few games for him to come up to speed. I mean, don't expect Perry to come up there and give you a hat trick and 10 hits the first game. He hasn't played in a while. He's barely started practicing with the team, but I'm really looking forward to see what he can bring back, and if we can see that old school Perry, if scoring goals. If not, I mean, we'll still have that Perry pest, and I think all the other teams are going to be pissed off when he comes back in the league and he's up in the goalie's face, or up in your face, or are hitting you against the boards. I don't think Perry's one of those players that can play this new school, tag your it, I don't want to offend you by hitting you too hard kind of, style of hockey. I think he's going to come back to the league and play the hockey he knows, that hard-hitting physical game, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So I'm happy that he's coming back. I think it might be a little too late for the Ducks where they're trending, but hopefully we can, him and Silfverberg and the Cossé news. My heart broke. I don't think I can love again after hearing that. That really broke my heart. But at least we have the Perry thing to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at getting 4 guys back here in February. But you're right. The bad news was Andre Cossé, torn labrum in the game against Minnesota. He's expected to be out 5 to 6 months, basically done for the season. So having him out hurts. The other thing that I've heard with Kessler, his timetable is up in the air, but it doesn't look good for Ryan Kessler. I do not expect him to be back in the regular season, maybe towards the end if the Ducks do make a strong push for the playoffs. But, it doesn't sound good from the things that I've been hearing about him. So I think that's, the other part of it was going out and getting Grant as well. And that signaled that, kind of confirmed some of the things I had heard. So, which is unfortunate. I mean, he's a warrior and he likes to battle, but you saw what happened in that Detroit game and it didn't look pretty. So, it's up in the air what's going to happen with him. But if he does indeed get shut down for the season, I would not be surprised. So, I guess one of the questions, we can kind of take some of the fan questions too. This one kind of goes towards it. Adam asked about, hey, Kossé's out, Kessler's up in the air, but, with Eves, Silfverberg, and Perry coming back, what do we think about the lineup and how it would play out? I think getting those guys back is definitely going to help big time. I would like to see, going off basically this last lineup against St. Louis, I would like to see Eves and Perry with Getzlaf on the top line and see how they do and put them together. Or maybe you put Raquel with Getzlaf and then go from there and try and break up the Twins. So I would like one of those kind of things to be done and see how that plays out. I kind of like the Jones, Grant, Terry line. I think keep them together. Obviously, the fourth line is kind of a makeshift line. So for me, it really hinges on what they want to do as far as Perry and Getzlaf. When Perry is able to come back, how they'll play that out. That's kind of what I'm looking at for this lineup when they come out of the All-Star game for the forwards, Eddie.
I have no idea with Carlisle. I have no idea. We could see Dalzado jump on that first line is all we know. Honestly, with the lineups right now and what we're going, I don't care who's on the first or what you want to call the first or the fourth. I just want to put some lines together that have chemistry and that can put the puck in the net, and more importantly, get some shots on the goal. I mean, we always say that we hate people screaming, shoot, 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 but in the Ducks case, I think every fan can actually, and I said this before on a previous show, that, I mean, it's not going to bother any fans. I think fans should scream shoot more because you can put up 13 shots last game or something like that. It's terrible. I just want lines that work. I do like the Perry, Getzlaf, and Eves line. I mean, it worked when it did, but, I mean, I just want something that works. And, I mean, you know what? Screw it. If you have to put a defender on an offensive line, why not? Look at Brett Burns. San Jose did that. They put him he was playing left wing, I believe. No, right wing. I'm sorry, right wing. And he put up a lot of points. He's a big physical player. He got in front of that net, and it worked out for them. I mean, the Ducks, like, what do they have to lose? They only won 2 games this year alone, and they're playing terrible. I mean, like, why not try something like that? Like, Manson hasn't been playing well defensively. Throw him on the offensive line, on the fourth line. Let's see what he can do. I mean, maybe something will spark. It's just, something has to happen with this team. And obviously, our Lord and Savior, Randy Carlisle, as our GM, like, he's Mr. Perfect. Maybe he can figure out something. But what's going on, and it's not working. I mean, we're not going to sit here and recap all the games that happened before our last podcast for a reason, because you guys already know what's going on, and you know that we're going to repeat the same exact thing because that's the same exact problems. I mean, some of you guys that watch hockey here and there are Ducks fans, or guys that don't even play hockey. You can see and understand what's going on wrong with the Ducks. So it's like there's no point to beat around the like I say, a dead duck on that. But I mean, something has to change, and why not just throw someone and throw some weird lines in there that don't make sense and see if chemistry produces, and throw other teams off, because, who knows? Maybe Manson is like a Brett Burns to start scoring goals on an offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, something has to be done. I mean, you even have Holzer coming back, the German tank. You could throw him on the fourth line and have him crash the net. I mean, you got to do something here to change this up. I don't think they will move a defenseman to the forward spot. I mean, I highly doubt it. I think what they're going to do is they're just going to try and rely on the young kids right now. Like we said, they made some moves, obviously sent some of the guys down to San Diego. But, I would see Jones and Terry coming up, maybe Steele down the road. And I think that's what they're going to do. I mean, they've done all these trades, these blockbuster deals. Obviously, they made those 4 trades within those couple days. And we know that that's all helped a lot. I mean, outside of Grant, that's the one that I do like, and he has been effective, and I like that. But I think that's what they're going to do. Part of the problem is, and we've talked about this on other shows, we've had some people ask us. We had John ask us about Murray and Carlisle and our opinions. We had George ask us too about Carlisle as well, and we talked about it. We had a podcast earlier in the year, and we said that he should be fired. And then we haven't really talked about it that much more because there's just no real point to it. I don't see him being gone. And, I mean, if you lose 12 games, the franchise worst, and you also had your 7-game losing streak too before that, and he's still here at the All-Star break, I don't see him going anywhere. I mean, unless the Ducks lose every single game here on out, I don't get it. And, and to quote what Eric Stevens told me in the last podcast, it's, quote, embarrassing. And that's what it is. So if they're not going to change that, then obviously it has to go to the players. There's nothing else to be done. So for me, we had one guy ask us, Andrew, if we're the GM, what do you do? What are our moves basically for the minor league? And I mean, for me, it's bring up all the young guys. Let them play. I honestly think, and again, Eric and I talked about this, the season being a lost season, I don't see this team making the playoffs. And if they do, they're going to get smoked right away. I'm just being real. I'm just being honest. And I rather this team not make the playoffs, get a higher draft pick. I rather them shut down Kessler, get these younger guys in there, get some experience, get them going, and get ready for next season. That's the way I'm looking at it. I mean, if you get Silfverberg, Eves, and Perry back, and they go on a crazy tear and they get on fire, then maybe that changes something. But I don't know. I don't really see that happening. So for me, I want them to come back and do well. But I would like to see Jones and Terry in the lineup and some of the other young kids, and I'd like to see what they have to offer and help this team out, because right now there's not really much else that's going to help. I mean, yeah, you're trying to get back some guys, but getting back those couple guys obviously is going to help, but how much? Is it going to make this team a contender overnight to go compete for the cup? I don't think so. Will it make it a playoff team? Maybe. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, Eddie.
Oh, yeah. If I were the GM right now, I don't know. I obviously wouldn't, try to, deflect the situation and avoid, first of all, taking care of an issue that's been a while. Fire the coach. You shouldn't have rehired him. You're trying to buy Versace at the 99-cent store. It's not going to happen. I don't know, what's going on with his mind. I mean, it's frustrating. And if I were him right now, there's a fork in the road. Either you're going to be a contending team for the Stanley Cup, championship, or you're not. And that's important, because do you want to start, trying to get your team to barely inch into the playoffs and get your ass kicked in the first round? We lose a high draft pick, and then what? We're embarrassed. And then oh, well, you know what? Maybe next time. Or should we just prepare for the worst? Start trading players that, we can get assets from. I know it sucks to say, but Silfverberg's still that X factor. It's still weighing out. He's, I guess, the outlier on our team right now, because he's still playing well. He's playing, his great two-way game. He's putting up numbers, and he's in a command, about $5+ million a year is come next contract. And there's going to be a lot of teams going to want that kind of, that player. And especially come trade deadline, they'll pay big for him. So we got to figure out what we're going to do. I mean, if you're going to re-sign him and do it before the deadline. If not, then, trade him out. But we have to figure out what we're going to do for the team. And obviously, I don't know how much longer we have to endure this before he does something drastic to make this change. I understand he's really conservative of what he does, and he doesn't – I think he's more stubborn and hard-headed, where he doesn't want to admit that he's wrong. So firing the coach will admit that, he made a mistake, rehiring him back. But, I mean, the Ducks come first. That logo on the jersey, that comes first before anyone's pride in anyone's name. You should put the team first. And I honestly, my best friend and I were hanging out today, and he's not really a hockey fan, but he follows it here and there. And he's like, hey, what's going on with the Ducks? What do you want them to do? Do you want them, And I told him, honestly, right now, it sucks to say this, but I kind of want them to keep losing some games, because hopefully we can fire, the coach, and we can start fixing what's going on, because there's obviously an issue. The players aren't really playing for him. If you guys watch the games, the players aren't giving that 110%. There's something going on, and there's no chemistry there. And the players, and you can see it from the players too. So definitely, yeah, it sucks to say that. And I say that right now because I'm frustrated. But when come game time, I'll still scream when the Ducks go down or the Ducks lose. And I don't want them to lose, but I kind of do. So I'm kind of stuck in that rock in the hard place kind of thing.
No, I mean, you touched on some good things there. I think, one of the things too during the game against St. Louis, this last one before the break, Guy Hebert was talking about the team and how they need to empty their tanks in the second period, and then they need to do it again in the third period, and they don't. And it goes back to your point of how they're playing for Carlisle. Obviously, they're not highly motivated. They didn't really empty their tanks. You only get a couple shots on goal in the first period. You barely get over 10 shots in the whole game. They take out Gibson as well, because what's the point? I mean, why put him in there when it's you against the rest of the team? I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, largely that's why he's going to the All-Star game too, because he's had to save a bazillion more shots than's necessary, but he's been doing that. So he's been the lone star for, the Ducks this season. So that is part of it. I mean, I know we had that question asked, if from George, if Carlisle's lost the locker room. And I think he has. I don't think he's lost it 100%, but I think he's lost it a little bit because tensions have been high in the locker room these last, couple of weeks. You can see it on the players' faces and the way that some of the interviews have gone down and things like that. And some of the guys are kind of biting their tongues a little bit about some of the things they want to say. So that's obviously a big issue. And we have talked about it before. We knew bringing Carlisle back was a mistake. And now, Murray's going down this hole of not getting rid of him, and the hole just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They got out of that first 7-game losing streak, and we thought, okay, maybe the Ducks will be okay. Then they go through a 12-game one, and so his answer is to do some trades, which those aren't going to help this team. I mean, like I said, Grant probably, but shaking that up a little bit, to me, it sends the wrong message. You're saying, okay, we're just going to move some players, because I, feel that you guys aren't, doing what you need to do, but they aren't going to do that under this coach. I just don't see it. And unfortunately, they're not going to get rid of him. So the biggest things that we've seen really, and I think it was evident in these last couple games with New York and St. Louis, is the forecheck. You saw those guys just forecheck the hell out of the puck and just steamroll the Ducks. And that's what the Ducks aren't doing. They're not doing that. They're not getting the pressure in the offensive zone. They're not keeping it in there towards the net. They're not making those consecutive passes over and over again. These are all things that we've talked about before on the show a bunch of times. And the power play has been terrible. Nobody's scared of the Ducks power play. When they get a penalty, they're not really worried if the Ducks are going to score on the power play because it just doesn't happen. So a lot of those things are going on right there. And then obviously on defense, there's been issues too. We've seen Fowler and Manson haven't been working well together. Certain things like that. And Manson hasn't been playing as well. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed. And I just don't see it happening. That's why, to me, I rather interject some of the younger guys in there, let them play, shake up the lineup. Like he's already shook up the lineup, but I would throw them in there, see what they can do. We talked about giving Gibson a rest. Hopefully Miller comes back in February and he gets more of a break because they're only resting him on these back-to-back games. But like I said, I try to rest him a little bit more as well. He's not going to play, this next week and a half, but he is going to be part of the All-Star game. So we do have that coming up. Eddie, I know we were going to talk about that a little bit. The AHL All-Star Game's coming up. Troy Terry's part of that. Kevin Boyle's part of that as well. I guess if you're excited, there's no regular hockey, but there's the All-Star Game coming up. I'm not really too excited about it, but, what are your thoughts about the All-Star Game as this team gets their break and, tries to repair themselves over this week and a half?
I guess I was a fan. I hate the break, and I hate that we don't have hockey for a week, and that kind of sucks. I'm not a big fan of the All-Star Game, to be honest. I know it's like kind of the most unpopular thing I can say, but I just think it's kind of a waste of time, and I prefer to watch real hockey instead of just little. I mean, I do like the skills competition. That's pretty cool. I can watch that, but the whole game, the whole thing itself, it's just it's just whatever. I'm like, whatever. I'm probably gonna, I don't know, drink more or hang out with my friends more. I guess I have time to do that, or I try to write some more. But yeah, I mean, personally, like, I'm glad Gibson is going to the All-Star Game, but it kind of sucks for him because that's a week that he could have rest, and the Ducks are overplaying him and things like that. Like I'm glad they pulled him against St. Louis. It wasn't his fault. He's just tired. And it sucks to play in front of a team that's not playing. And I hate it. I mean, I just play beer league, and this is my only third official season officially playing goalie. And I get pissed off when I'm playing in front of my team and they're not playing. There was one game I pulled myself with 8 minutes to go in the third period. We're down 3-0. It was like my 5th breakaway or 6th breakaway in a row. And I told my team, hey, if you're not going to freaking play for me, then why the hell should I? So I pulled myself. Yeah, it was a dick move. But you know what happened? My team stepped up and they scored 3 goals. I went back in. We won 4-3. But it's just sad to see, and I don't know how frustrated Gibson is to see this because he's a great goaltender. He is actually the number 1 goaltender in the league, and you can try to change my mind on that. And if you say anything otherwise from any other team, then you probably aren't watching enough hockey because this guy is the reason why we're not, like I said, numerous times, like third time I'm saying this, we're not hanging out with the Kings, or we're not in the point category as, 43 points like Ottawa. he's just stolen games for us, and it's awesome. And I hope he has I hope he wants to go to the All-Star game. It just doesn't feel obligated because he doesn't want to be suspended. But I wish that he has the best time he can possibly have, and it's just a time where he can just get away from this losing streak and all this bad karma coming over there from the Ducks and all that crap's going on. I just hope he has the best time possible, and that. And as far as the All-Star game too, we can talk about the jerseys, Mike. I'm not a fan of the jerseys at all. I think they're terrible, and I was hoping to buy one. Like, okay, cool, I can buy a Gibson one, and I can get him to sign it, and it'd be cool to have. But I saw the jerseys, and I think they're really ugly, and I haven't seen them in person yet. I just saw a close-up picture. Maybe in person might change my mind, but just seeing them, it just seems like they're copying basketball. I really don't like them.
That was my thought at first too when I saw the white version. I thought that one did not look good at all. I did actually order the black one and got that one, and I do like the black one. So I have some mixed feelings. I think that one does look a little bit more stylish. But you're right. You look at the white ones, it's kind of something that the NBA's done at the All-Star game. And, I don't really like the look of it. So I kind of have some mixed feelings with the way that the jerseys are. But I'm with you too on the game and stuff. I'm not big on it. The skills competition, I'll want to watch that and see that and whatnot. But for me, I'm just hoping that the Ducks use this time to rest up and get healthy. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, yeah, you get a little bit out of game shape, but that's what I'm looking for over this break. Yeah, we're not going to be able to see the regular games. We're just going to have some of the All-Star festivities and whatnot. But that's kind of where I'm at. One thing too, speaking about getting healthy, I do want to mention Kevin Waugh is coming back. The Ducks finally announced that he had wrist surgery and that he should be joining the goals in 2 weeks, hopefully to practice. So that's some good news too as well. So the Ducks are getting him back, over this time. So I'm looking for, go through this All-Star break, and then the Ducks getting several players in February. And then, we can kind of see how it goes from there. And then, of course, we'll have a show, a couple in February, and then the trades will be coming up. We have some stuff to talk about with that. We've got some insight source close to the team about some of the things, which I'm not going to go into now, but we will on later shows as well. So, the All-Star game coming up. I know we have some other league news and things to talk about, Eddie, that you want to touch on. Some of our favorite players around the league. Nashville. But, if you want to break it down and go into some of that, we'll comment on what else is going on as the Ducks go into this All-Star break with the NHL.
All right, cool. Well, as far as league news, if you're listening to this podcast, another person from the Ducks is injured. Me is day-to-day with flu-like symptoms. So I guess I'm add that to, since, we have Dawn Wright, she's still recovering for her vocals, but I'm so sorry if you hear me sniffing and I'm kind of sounding kind of weird, but I'm still dealing with the flu-like symptoms. But so as far as the All-Star game, Carey Price is not going to attend the All-Star game. He's going to take a 1-game suspension for that, and Vasilevsky is going to take his spot. Just today, they talked about Nathan McKinnon. He's having his foot scanned for potential injury. He's not going to participate in the All-Star game, but he's going to go to the festivities, which protects him from being suspended, and the league has yet to announce who's going to replace him. We talked about Sergei Bobrovsky. He got suspended by the team because I guess he violated some morals and values of their team. Apparently, when he got pulled, he went to the locker room and took a shower and got dressed into his regular suit. And then they thought he should have came out and, suited up as a backup role. The coach called a team meeting and the team voted him back. So he was back from suspension from that one day. Rick Nash and Josh Georges both announced their retirement. So, kudos to them for a career. And unfortunately, Rick Nash has dealt with some injuries and it forced him. He was a great hockey player, and we both wish them the best, whatever they pursue in the future. Dallas Stars, I know Ducks are doing bad and we hate, or we dislike our GM sometimes, but, their management over there is one-upping whatever the hell is going on, because they talked about first doing, they're playing, Sagan and Benner playing beep, 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 and you can fill in the blanks on that. And then now recently, a few weeks ago, they're, management regrets signing Jamie Benn. That's to say that's terrible. I mean, you're talking about your franchise player, your leader right there. So that's bad. Josh Hosang, he's infamous in the NHL for wearing 66 and his behavior, but he showed up late to practice again and got sent down. That's not a big surprise. Jerome Iginla is going to have his number 12 retired on March 2nd. Iginla's a really cool player. I had the opportunity to meet him and talk to him when I was in Colorado when he played for the Avalanche, and just a stand-up guy and so polite and friendly, and he just always joked around with me and talked just like I was just normal, just like you and I are talking on the podcast, Mike. He's just a really great guy, and I, congratulations for him, the great career that he's had, and unfortunately he's never won a Stanley Cup, and but he's one of those players that doesn't really need it, and he's just one of those players that was hockey, and that's really good to see. And I still have my Avalanche Iginla jersey, and I'll never trade that for the world. I love it. It's signed by him and everything, so it's really cool. Jackson Niedermayer, that sounds familiar, right? Scott Niedermayer's son is committed to Arizona State for the 2021-2022 season. He's a forward too. So, I mean, his dad just wanted him to find his own way and his own groove. So, I wish the best of luck, and maybe one day we'll have another Niedermayer on the Ducks, knock on wood. We talked about Patrick Berglund of the St. Louis Blues getting suspended and then getting waived and eventually mutually terminating the contract. And we were so confused on what's going on. Apparently there's some mental illness going on with him. So it's preventing him from moving forward. He accepted responsibility for him not showing up to practices and stuff like that. And what mental illness is, it's a big problem. It's everywhere. And when I was younger, I always thought that it was just people that are weak-minded and they couldn't just get over things. But, after the military and coming in and sitting down and realizing and reevaluating myself, I have some mental, illness problems too that I go through. So it's an everyday battle and an uphill battle and a struggle every day. So I wish him, nothing but the best in luck, and anyone out there that's dealing with that. And, you can always just talk to someone, there's always, there's a way and there's hope to get past things, and just, don't be afraid to speak up about it and ask for help for anyone. I mean, you want to DM me just to pick my brain, just to talk about hockey. I mean, I'm always here. I always talk about hockey. So feel free to do that. And I'm going to touch on this, on this, Austin Watson from Nashville Predators. He spontaneously threw a statement about his mental illness and stuff like that. But it seems like he's more just trying to divert, and not accept responsibility for his actions. So that kind of ticked me off when people do, use that as a front to excuse unacceptable behavior. So that just kind of I'll throw that out there. Datsuk, I think one of the Arizona Coyotes best player. He's on their books until July 1st. He's been playing in the KHL. He's contemplating on coming back and playing. He still feels that he has a lot of hockey left, and as of July 1st, he'll be a free agent, and he wants to possibly come back to the Red Wings. So be on the lookout for him to come back. And his really cool, the way he moves the puck and his deking skills are amazing. He has some great hands. Edmonton fired their president and GM hockey operations, Peter Ciccarelli. They actually let him go during the second intermission of the game. Just like, Camilleri got traded and then Matt Duchene got traded, midway to the game. They did that for him so they can avoid all the media frenzy and stuff like that. So, I mean, Edmonton fans are happy. And honestly, looking back at all the stuff he's done too, and all the questionable signings, I mean, congratulations, Edmonton. You guys, hopefully, I kind of hate you guys because you guys cry a lot, but about goalie interference stuff. But he's made some really questionable signings and dollar amounts. I really wish during his tenure I could have tried to apply for Edmonton just for delivering mail. I probably got $5 million a year to do that. But Yeah, and then other news too. The National Hockey League and the Players Association decided that there's no World Cup this season. If you guys know Bob McKenzie, a TSN analyst, I listened to his podcast called Bobcast, and he talks about potentially, maybe it's really, really low, but maybe this canceling of the World Cup might be like, I don't know, lockout year again, because, it ends 2021, but they have to have something done by this September, and I forgot the exact date, but it's going to be this September. If they don't, they can potentially go to lockout. Now, Bob McKenzie doesn't think at all that a lockout will happen. They have, 7+ months to figure out something, and it wasn't as bad as it was the last time, and he feels that, both sides really don't want this to happen. So it's, when he talked about it on his show, and you guys can go and look that up and listen to that one too. It's pretty good. But he doesn't think it's going to happen. He thinks that both sides will really want to make a deal happen. And, I mean, it's like nothing set in stone until it actually gets, figured out. But, it's still a possibility, a potential, but he doesn't think so. But should be on the lookout for that. Come September, we have to have something done. And hopefully, hopefully no lockout happens. I don't know what I'll do this time, Mike. Like, I'll probably go like do a badminton and puck show or whatever. I don't even know. But yeah, that's as far as league knows.
Yeah, there has been some talk about the lockout. I've heard that here and there, in the pipeline down the road and whatnot. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Obviously, we've already gone through it before. So hopefully they avoid that. I guess some of the things just to touch on that you mentioned too is, obviously stuff's going crazy with the Ducks. Love them or hate them. We did do a poll question on that, and over 90% of you are still there. I was surprised because after the Ducks had lost these last couple games, I saw a lot of people saying that they weren't going to support the team anymore and whatnot. But, we did a poll question, and over 90% of you say that you are. And then only less than 10% of you are saying get rid of, Carlisle or Murray. It's kind of interesting. I thought it would be a little bit closer of a vote than that. But I did see a lot of people, too, saying that, I'm not going to spend as much money at the games or whatnot. So, there's a lot of stuff going on with the Ducks, of course. People aren't happy and whatnot. But, hey, at least we're not Dallas. At least we're not Edmonton, right? Or maybe some of you want to be Edmonton because they got
Ottawa.
Or Ottawa, right. And some of you may want us to be Edmonton because they got rid of their GM. And we still do have Murray, which I get mixed feelings from people on that part. Most people want Carlisle gone. Then when it's, we talk about Murray, it's kind of up in there. Some people are like, yeah, no, because there's good and negative. But it's going to be an interesting season for sure. We're going to see how it rides out. The Ducks are going to have this break, try to get healthy in February, like we talked about, give some of the younger guys some action. We have some stuff coming up, too, in February. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have another watch party, planning it towards the end of the month. There'll be more news about that. It's going to be with a former Ducks player who won the Stanley Cup, and I'll talk about that more on a later show, but you have that to look forward to. We did have a good time with the last one. It was, again, a packed house again. I did get a seat in advance, so we had fun at that one.
That was fun.
That one ended up we also ended up kind of watching part of the Ram game, too, at the end of that. So it ended up being a Ducks-Rams because some people wanted to see that as well. So that was kind of fun. So we have those coming up. Plus, you mentioned Scott Niedermayer earlier and his son. His retirement game is coming up in February, and we are going to give away tickets to that game plus a Scott Niedermayer used stick. So check out the Patreon website, patreon.com/ducksandpucks, to go on there, sign up. Help us keep the show going, keep the website going and whatnot. But we're going to be giving that away to one person. So that's another thing to look forward to. And then I guess really the last thing I kind of want to end the show on, that's kind of a big thing, I guess. A lot of the stuff has been done with this show and the website and basically trying to help people and whatnot. And I'm happy to announce that we're going to be able to start doing some internships with students at Cal State Fullerton. So that was something that got finalized this week. We have 5 spots open right now. I have already one officially signed up, and we have a couple others that are in the works right now that I'm working with the school. So if you do know anybody that goes to Cal State Fullerton and is interested as far as doing journalism and social media type stuff, they can check it out and they can do an independent study. We've got it all set up and approved. So it's just kind of something good. I value education, and I just think it's a big deal, Eddie, that, we kind of branch out a little bit more, not just doing a website, not just talking about hockey, but we're trying to help people get their degrees as well.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Like I'm still in school and I barely finished, my little community college, and I'm waiting to transfer to Cal State right now. And I think that's awesome. And I'm a journalism student, and I'm a communications major, and I wrote for the paper, everything like that. And it was just really cool. I was talking to my professor about that, and he reads a lot of my work too, and he follows Ducks and Pucks. Yeah, he's an Avalanche fan, so he follows Denver Avs as well. And I mean, he's one of those professors that you could do anything, but it's never perfect for him. But it's awesome because he forces you to get to that next level. And there's always something that I can do better. And that makes me a better writer. It makes me just kind of find that better, inner channel writer in me. Like every time I'll tell him, hey, can you take a look at this? Or, hey, I wrote this, and can you just take a look at it? And he was like, hey, you want my honest opinion? Like, yeah, tell me. And he makes me feel like a little ant. But you know what? He does it to help me because he wants me to be like the best and to, like just how he is. And it works. And he's a great instructor, and he thinks it's a great idea. And he thanks you for that. I wanted to mention one thing, Mike, because I know that you won't mention it because you hate taking credit for things. But anyways, follow my my personal Argonzo 444 thing. But I had a friend that passed away I played hockey with. A great guy. He just, I know it's cliche. Everyone says he's a good guy, but I mean, he was the nicest asshole you'll ever meet. And that's how his family and his mom and his friends describe him. And he's just such a caring person. We're having a tournament in his honor with all proceeds going to his family. And, Ducks and Pucks and Mike, are going to sponsor our jerseys. And I'm going to play, I have a team. I'm captaining a team that we're going to have it. And Mike, I talked to Mike about it, and without even hesitation, Mike's like, yeah, I'll sponsor the jersey. So I want to thank you so much, Mike. And I told my team that as much money that we're going to pay for the jerseys, that we'll just give it to his family and, cause they need it. So I just want to just, take this time to have everyone and myself and, my team and his family and the league I play in to thank you for that. I mean, you didn't have to do that. And when I mentioned to you, you didn't even hesitate at all. You were just, before I even finished the sentence, like, yeah. So it's like, I want to just, that's really cool that you give out and you use your platform to branch out and help other people with, this Fullerton internship or having people like myself or, I was a criminal justice major and I didn't really think about writing or getting into hockey at all. But when I did, you always supported me and you gave me a platform to talk and to write. And, just for all that, I mean, I think you deserve a lot more credit than you want to take. So thank you so much for that.
No, I mean, I appreciate it, Eddie. Yeah, I'm not one to sit there and put the spotlight on myself and say, all that kind of stuff. I just never kind of been that type of person. But yeah, I mean, for me, just what I do outside of this is I help people in my real career. So any chance that I can get to help out people, whether it's, giving away bobbleheads at a watch party or an autograph stick or helping someone that had their, jersey stolen out of their car, or things like that I've been able to do in the past. I like to help people and basically put a smile on people's face when they're down. And that's the biggest thing, or like in this situation with your friend, something that's, negative, obviously that happened. But you're doing something to honor him too. So, I applaud you for doing that too, because, some people would just be like, okay, we're going to have a little service or we're going to have a little, meeting or whatnot, but you're taking an extra mile too to honor him. So any of those kind of things where you can take a situation, whether it's positive or negative, and either keep the positive going or turn that negative into a positive, I think is huge. And that's what I try to do, with everything, whether it's the website or the podcast. I never thought it would get this big, but the fact that I'm able to help other people is, it's something that I like to do. And like you said, I don't try to take credit. I just try to help others out. And now that I can help people, get their college degree finished up, with a few extra credits here and there, I'm excited. I'm excited about it. So, it's a good opportunity. Like I said, limited number of people. If you know anybody that goes to the school that's interested, please let me know, because I'm pretty sure it's going to fill up. Like I said, I've got maybe one or two more openings left. I'll find out in the next couple of days here. So, but yeah.
Or if you want to write too, I mean, we have the whole, for the Puck Network, a lot of teams. If you want to, to manage certain Twitter, Facebook, and just have fun with it, but express your passion and get your name out there too. And if you're afraid to write, don't be afraid to write. Just try it out. Go on a computer, go on your phone. I mean, phones can, they have little, things that you can write to, and just write from the heart and write, your opinion, because obviously, people want to read it. Like hockey is, we're a tight knit family, and it's just something that you can do. It's easy. And I was always afraid because I was like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. People don't want to read my stuff. Who am I? But I mean, when people tell me, like, oh, I like reading your things, or, oh, this is a good article, or this is a good point you made, or I agree with you. I've made so many friends and contacts to start off with you, Mike, when I was in Colorado, and it just built from there. And I mean, there's people that I love. Like when I go to games, I'll go and walk all the way to the other side of the arena just to hang out with them. Like, hey, how's it going? And it's a fun experience, and just to get your name out there and to start. And I mean, if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. That's the whole thing about it. You can just like, hey, you know what? It's not for me, but it can open up some doors for you. And it changed my life personally. Like I said, I was, all about, criminal justice major, going to the Army, working K9, doing MP and intelligence. And now I'm trying to focus all my career on journalism and hockey. So, I would suggest, if you're interested in it, just, shoot Mike a DM or myself, ask questions. If you really want to start writing or manage, like if you like the Coyotes or, even the Predators or Edmonton, like, we always, there's this whole, the Puck Network has the whole list of teams where you can just express yourself and show your passion for your team. So, I mean, if you can, I would suggest it. It changed my life, and hopefully if I can just, have my words change someone else and get them into this career in hockey and fire themselves off in something else, I think that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, obviously we talk about the Ducks a lot on this show, and we do talk about the rest of the league too. And we do have people that are working on other teams as well. Like we have Phil, he does our Tampa Bay site as well. You do Denver. You have a couple others out there as well. So yeah, if it's something that you're interested in, and you can always hit me up. And if you don't go to the school and you want to just do something too, you can hit me up as well. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy the break, and maybe the Ducks will get some rest and come out of it a little bit better and get some players back, and maybe turn the ship around and get things going in the month of February. So with that, enjoy the All-Star break, and we'll see you in a week. Let's go Ducks.